Welcome everybody, this is Denny, and we're going to do this video with Karl Mollison of GetWisdom, and I'm also with GetWisdom, but we're going to probably launch this video onto why is this true initially. It may migrate over to GetWisdom in the future, but for right now, that's what we're going to do with this, because it's kind of a volatile, touchy, controversial subject, and that is what we call the M.A.P. Abductees, which a lot of people know as the S.S.P. Those are acronyms. M.A.P. stands for Mercenary Army Program, and S.S.P. stands for Secret Space Program. And so the phenomena that we're going to be dealing with is the fact that there's a lot of people now coming public or otherwise and realizing that they've been involved in some type of a military endeavor where they are being taken at a young age, or in some cases older, and made to serve in a military capacity with kind of dubious states of agreements, if you will. We choose to call them abductees because most of our research that's kind of where it's leaning right now. So Karl's done a significant amount of work in this area. I have too. His work is profoundly more unique than mine because of his channeling abilities. So and his healing work. So thank you so much, Karl, for doing this. This is something that we've had in the works now for some time, and we just now carving some time out to do this. We have 10 questions that were submitted to us from a group of M.A.P. abductees. So this is a collection of questions that came from these various individuals, many who you know as your clients, and some others who have not yet become clients. And with that, I would like to thank you again and invite you to talk a little bit about this to kind of set the scene for what we're going to be doing today.
Well, as probably a lot of the viewers of this particular video have become aware of, there is a disclosure movement underway by a number of individuals who pop up on the internet in various locations and websites, and some books have been written about this. And it's a natural offshoot of the ongoing history here of a long-term collaboration between the U.S. government and military and intelligence agencies with extraterrestrials. And these stories go back to World War II and prior to that as well. And so there's a lot of disinformation campaigns happening. And there's a dark reason behind that. And it's because the extraterrestrials are totally in control of this. It's not a true collaboration. It's a deception and a kind of Trojan horse operation. They're using the idea of a collaboration as a lure to get humanity to drop their guard and for us to become accustomed to the idea of having these very advanced beings technologically in our sphere, and to gain our trust. And that is a deception because they have designs on our planet and us as well, and it's not pretty. So this is what we've learned talking with Creator about all of this. And there are many indirect indications. One is that this has continually been shrouded in secrecy for all these years. And one can always be suspect of anything that has to be kept away from the eyes of the public. Obviously, for tactical reasons, if you're in a military kind of setting, if there's war or something, there's a need for confidentiality and so on. And to some extent in industry as well, to retain proprietary knowledge and so forth. But the whole idea that something like that can be going on and the public isn't allowed to know is a huge, huge red flag. And people need to really pause and consider that. The old dodge that, well, we're not ready. If they came out of the closet and announced they'd been working with ETs, the stock market would crash and all the religions would crumble because it puts it all up to mockery that they believed in all that folklore and these advanced beings are here and they have all the knowledge and they're so far ahead of us that's just laughable, and it would just be too great a culture shock. And well, I'm sorry, but we're more sophisticated now than we were 50 years ago or 75. And that really doesn't wash. There's ways to bring this along, and especially if the interaction is for a good purpose.
Yeah.
You see?
Right.
If it's for a good purpose, there's plenty of ways to make it palatable to the public, because this could represent a tremendous breakthrough for improving things. We've learned the lessons of modern technology, that there's many advances that happen when you get your gadgets and so on. So not to mention, health and well-being potentially. So in addition to that, there's the issue, why a collaboration with the military? Why not a collaboration with the scientific community? Now, obviously, if secrecy has to be kept, it would be better done by people who live through secrecy in most of what they do. But then it gets back to the issue, why so secret about what? And so what we've been told by the light is the secrecy is because this is a Trojan horse. They're invaders. They have invaded our planet and they're running our planet already. And this has been going on for millennia now. So this is all a kind of a game. It's a ploy, and they have no reason to collaborate with us other than to gain our trust. And they've figured out that if we do give them more measure of control of things, they will win with their plans to dominate us totally.
And the way this fits into the M.A.P. question is that they're not necessarily interested in doing the job themselves.
Yes. Yeah. And to that end, what we're told is they have created a mercenary army, which is creator's word for the S.S.P. This isn't really a secret space program. This is a mercenary army program.
Yeah.
Okay? We didn't make this up.
Right.
This comes from the Almighty because that is its purpose. So they have a force consisting of 1 million human beings who are trained militarily to fly advanced spacecraft, to use advanced space weapons, and conditioned to follow orders with complete obedience and disregard for their personal morality on the part of the recruits. And this is obtained through a combination of coercion, conditioning, and mind control manipulation. So these people...
Specifically trauma-based mind control, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, yes, it is. That's the coercion part. It's the exposure to repeated trauma and witnessing trauma to others as an object lesson and so on. And it all feeds the idea that the mind is changed in its belief system, that one must do this, one must follow the orders. And to the extent that they can turn black into white and white into black and make an agenda to kill people, not only acceptable, but highly desired because it fits with a narrative they're programmed to believe. New York City is taken over by the rebels, and that's their stronghold. It must be destroyed. Go and do this, and they'll go do it. So, I hate to be so graphic, but this is what we're talking about. This is a military enterprise. It's not for benevolent purposes. It's not to create a protection for the earth, which is one of the cover stories they use with the recruits. They also get them to sign on But that is also manipulated to happen.
Mm-hmm.
It isn't done through their own free will.
Right.
Although some might volunteer, just like people join the military willingly because they believe in serving the nation and so on, and it's lauded in society and a noble cause and employment and so on. So people fall into this. They're conscripted sometimes and then manipulated to go along with it and subjected to a series of tougher and tougher training experiences to see where they can be pushed and where they might break. If they cannot get too far on that path, then their mind is wiped of any recollection of what has happened, and then they're put back into society. They're rejected. But it preserves the secrecy. And so people get to varying stages, varying levels of being pliable and also being resilient and being able to do truly monstrous things and live with it because it's compartmentalized in a portion of their mind, for example.
Right.
And then if that can be maintained and the person remaining stable where they can be put back into childhood, say, and grow up as a regular person and then be recruitable at any time.
Yeah.
To go back in, be reactivated, and go right back exactly where they left off with all their knowledge and training in place and ready to go to war.
So this relates very closely to what they call DID. They used to call multiple personality disorder, but now they call it dissociative identity disorder. And that's where you can have alters within your consciousness that don't even know each other, don't even know each other exists.
Right.
And it's very complex, multi-layered, enhanced by current day technology, but actually something that's been around for a long, long time, administered by what most people would call the Illuminati or maybe the Cabal. And it's a family system, and it's a system of control that's quite ancient within the world's ruling class, if I'm not mistaken. So this is kind of an adjunct or an outgrowth of that very same phenomenon, is the way I understand it.
Well, and this was learned from the extraterrestrials.
Right.
All the way along, because they have used humans all the way along as their minions. And in the process of doing that, trained them in certain strategies and tactics and psychological techniques so they could be more effective. And it's because the extraterrestrials themselves want to remain in the background and not be vulnerable to someone causing trouble, wanting to rebel, and perhaps becoming violent.
Right, because these are physical beings. They have dimensional capabilities, but in terms of the actions that would be required to actually eliminate humanity, we're talking about the physical versions of these ETs, if I'm not mistaken, and their role in this is kind of a, for lack of a better term, a cowardly one.
Yes.
So,
and of course, some of them cannot pass as humans if they show up in the physical.
Right.
So there's a critical need for, being sequestered and have this be done at arm's length or through intermediaries.
Right.
So this keeps the illusion going that it's just us who are at war with one another,
right,
who are dragging each other down and complicating things and having so many problems, so much mental illness, so much aberrant behavior and the social unrest and poverty and on and on and on. And whereas those things are created to happen to keep us suppressed,
right,
to keep the bulk of society. But it's not too far a stretch to get people to kill. It's done by the military all the time.
Right. And we have to also point out is that, what is the military? Well, that's an institution that's specifically created for killing each other, for people to kill each other. That's the bread and butter of military. That's what it means. So it stands to reason that the association between the ETs would be with an institution like that, and not an academic institution or the medical community or the religious community for that matter. You want to go to where the tools are in place for doing the business at hand. And so a lot of times we kind of like to think of the military in other terms, but it's a killing machine. It's basic, and that's what militaries have always been. Even in times when technologies were crude, that's what it is. It's the murder of our fellow human being. So we shouldn't stray too far from that idea when we're trying to capture an idea of what this is all about.
And the trainability of people to kill for a cause doesn't mean there aren't consequences. And you see this in the devastation among veterans of emotional disarray and the trauma-based psychological disorders that people come away with. It causes wounds to the soul. It causes wounds to the psyche to be killing, because we're spiritual beings and we're not really supposed to be doing that. It's non-divine, and it always has severe karmic consequences, no matter what you do to justify it. Yeah. It's just that simple, Right. But the fact that we can do it shows we're still at a pretty low level in terms of our awareness, in terms of the big picture, especially. Yeah. About being part of a divine landscape here, where there is a divine creator taking part in our lives as an observer and supporting us, but allowing us free reign. So what we do with that doesn't go unnoticed, and will have consequences for us down the line. But, you can see how countries can be pitted against one another and happily go to war because they feel justified for their individual reasons. Right. Well, this program we're talking about has recruits from all around the world. So if you think it's improbable that some American could be convinced to wipe out an American city, well, what about somebody from Iraq or Iran? Or China? Or Russia. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so, and vice versa. So right. This is the logic of the idea here, to use us as the intermediaries. And then anything that goes wrong, anything that represents a lapse in security, for example, it's just humans, humans probably with a crazy story that's not believable on its face. Who would believe this? Right. If there's some secret military force being groomed for some weird reason or whatever, or even for an exalted one, it's hard for people to accept. Yeah, because you have the aspect of the time travel and the mind, the blank slating and the mind wiping, and the whole thing is just so. In order to make this picture even plausible, you have to recruit all these insane ideas that people are just not going to be open to. I mean, the time travel being one of the biggies. Well, and the very sad thing for me is that the people involved in the program are programmed to believe in its value and the importance, and that they're special. And this is going to help the world. And to come along like I'm just describing for you now and say the opposite. Right. I don't like having to do that. Right. I wouldn't want to be told that myself if I were, somebody who I felt inside was going to be some kind of special hero, which is what they're told. Right. We're going to save the planet and the solar system. Yep. Because there are bad ETs out there. Yep. We got to get you ready because humanity can't do this. They're too backward. They need this leg up, and you're it. You're special. And then, to have the idea that this is all propaganda and a manipulation. It's a tough message. Yeah, it is. And it's also tough to actually meet these people in person, get to know them, see what their concerns and their proclivities are, and then my heart goes out to them in a special way, and
And I've been asked that, and we're going to ask that question. That's going to be the 11th question for today. We have 10. It's going to be a long channeling session. And I want to get started now, just in the interest of time. But that is one of the things that we're going to ask is why Denny Hunt is interested in this M.A.P. abductee thing, when evidently I have no connection to it in this life or in previous lives. We've been told. We've asked about this in the past. But we're going to ask about it again because I've been asked about it by some of the people who have engaged with Karl and engaged with me around this issue and the narrative that we have come to understand, as Karl has just described here. So a lot of the people that are in contact with us that we believe to be M.A.P. abductees are interested in healing, and that's one of the reasons for the close association with Karl, with myself. And we have a M.A.P. abductee forum that is affiliated with the Why Is This True website that actually operates on another more secure platform than we can provide on my website. And so there's a collection of them there that where they have a little bit of privacy, better than Facebook, better than my website, and they can exchange stories. But the emphasis there is on the healing aspect. And that's really my interest in this too. I mean, obviously, there is a reason for anybody interested in healing to be focused on M.A.P. because that's kind of where the rubber meets the road. They pose one of the biggest threats to humanity right now, collectively. And so, of course, my idea is that if we can heal some of them, maybe we can get a spreading effect within that community, and people will more people will be saved from this fate that we're describing, including all of humanity for that perspective, for that matter. So that on the surface, that could be a good, sufficient explanation for my interest in this. But we're going to ask the question because I've been asked the question, and it seems plausible that that there might be some reason beyond what I've just said. Like what's my stake in the matter? How is it that Denny has skin in the game here, and why is he so focused on helping M.A.P. abductees? So we're going to ask that question, and then the remaining 10 questions are going to be these are the ones that actually came from those people themselves, not Karl, not myself. So with that, Karl, if you have any other things you'd like to talk about, let's do that now. Otherwise, let's get started.
No, let's dive in, and I will connect to Creator of all that is, and get into that state of consciousness for that, and request high-level protection and safety around the communication. And this is something that Creator will bestow on anyone. It's unique to Creator because the Almighty has special power, really, to see to that. But one has to be worthy and have a belief of 100% to have that so, and prevent an imposter from stepping in and answering your desire to reach out and have some kind of feedback. And this is where a lot of channels go wrong. So I just want to emphasize that this, I'm taking special pains to keep this protected and keep it authentic.
Okay.
Because it's obviously critical.
Yeah.
And especially so because we're talking about people's lives and people's futures, people's destinies, and that of humanity as well. So this is no small thing. This is probably the biggest kind of rescue mission one could conceive of, something that puts the lives of all of humanity at risk potentially. Mm-hmm. So this bumps right into the central dilemma of our time.
Okay.
And of our existence, I think.
Yes. Okay.
So, all right, I'll go ahead.
Okay, thank you.
This is Source Creator speaking.
Thank you for joining us. What is the reason for my interest in helping and healing the people who are M.A.P. abductees?
The reason is truly twofold. One is your personal makeup and being a true crusader for the light. You have done this in many, many lifetimes. And the yearning of your soul is to serve truth, to serve divine truth, and to serve the divine cause. The universe is incomplete. The universe is imperfect. The greatest source of incompletion and imperfection is in the earth plane and its inhabitants and tormentors. This is the greatest dilemma of the universe. So this is no small battleground, so to speak. And so it is no surprise to Divine Realm that you show up here. This was pre-planned as well, and that is certainly a historical record of what we describe here, because none are forced to come. You volunteered for this mission, as did your channeler, and you want to be a part of this undertaking and this enterprise, the both of you. And so the second reason is you are divinely inspired. And this is because of the pre-planning, the desire of your soul to take the mission on. And you are drawn unavoidably to the heart of the matter, much as a magnet, because it suits your mission, your plans, your soul makeup, and your desire to be of service to the divine cause. And one very, very special divine cause is to see the success for the divine human to move beyond its beginnings and move upward in scope. That can only happen if the issues you are asking about are fully dealt with in a sufficient way.
Okay, thank you. Source Creator, what is most important for abductees of the Mercenary Army Program to know?